Welcome to the Chef of X podcast.
All right, we're back, right, to the Chef of X podcast?
Yes, we're going. We're rolling.
Is it the Red Chef podcast or the Chef of X podcast?
I think it's still Chef. That's a good question. I think it's still Chef of X podcast because I think of it as a medium for me to be curious in public, and since it's conversation based instead of I don't think of conversations as all that creative, even though they are. I don't see it as like an artistic project. I see it more as like philosophical.
Right. Conversations, I think, if you I could put a twist on it and say like everything is art, right? Everything you see, the human interaction is art itself.
Yeah.
Right. So to me, it is a form of art. It's just conversations are just a very specific genre.
Yeah.
Philosophy, the being able to connect.
Yeah. And being able to use reasoning in a sense that being able to use reasoning as a universal kind of thing instead of just in science.
Right. Absolutely. So when is the last time you did a podcast?
I did one yesterday.
Oh, really?
I don't know how I feel about it, though. I personally think I'm rusty at doing podcasts.
What is it that makes you, what is it that is it just lack of conversations?
Yes.
Being able to.
Yes. So, yeah, I was, I really wasn't having any conversations for a while, for up to a year, except on the phone. And even now I'm out. It's mostly with the same people. So
I see.
It's not as I like doing it with new people the most, or people that are tried and true. Like you're tried and true. I don't know, like you always deliver, so it's fun doing it with you. But for the most part, it's really, really fun for me if it's a brand new person and they don't really know me that well. So they're surprised by everything that's happening. This was not the case. This was with someone that I knew from a long time ago, or from Dianza, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he knew me through hip-hop. We were part of a club that was called the 4 Elements of Hip-Hop, which are, I think, graffiti, dancing, emceeing, and DJing. And he was kind of a fan of emceeing and a fan of the dancing, but he wasn't really like a dancer himself, and he didn't really write any music himself. So he was like in the club as a fan. And what was cool about it is that not only was he a fan of like the big people, the Kendrick Lamars, the people who are out there and popular, he could also be a fan of the people in the club who were producing their own work. So like he knew me as Red Chef because he had listened to some of my old mixtapes on SoundCloud.
I see.
So it was, I knew him, but he was a fan, but also I didn't have the, I didn't set up the podcast so that we could listen to music while we were on it. So that was kind of a mistake on my end.
And so that's why you probably didn't feel good about it.
I don't feel great about it. It's the first in a long time. So I just don't think I was very sharp. I think I didn't have as many questions as I thought I would have. So yeah. I kind of had a lot of blank space. Like, what was I curious about again? Like,
well, I'll tell you, man, I re-listened to quite a bit of the podcasts that we had done. I've done with you, you've done with friends, and just random ones that I didn't even know who the person was. And it's just so interesting. Like, first of all, it's like, it's such a unique way of remembering past life.
Yes.
Because like, you could look at a photo and like, that's like an instant reaction, right? And it's like, will last 1 second in your memory.
We should take a photo today.
We should. And in fact,
you're actually really good at photos. I've noticed.
Yes. That. In fact, we should because we never had a photo with the pop top. Right.
Oh.
Yeah. So like if you were to listen to one of the other podcasts we did in the van, there was a tin top. Now we have a pop top. Being able to stand up and cook is a huge blessing in life. You get dick sucked standing up. You know what I'm saying? There you go. There you go. So there's two things in life, getting your dick sucked while standing up and then being able to cook. I think there's two things that every man should be able to do.
Well, you actually made do without the standing up as far as the cooking, because you cook pretty well.
Yes, I did.
I didn't realize you were hunched. I never really watched you.
Right. Well, this is because, you know why? Is because every time we do it, you'd be talking with like Roz or Carla or whatever, or that. Everyone's outside while the chef is in the kitchen, right? But so
literally,
yeah. So you know, I'll tell you through that process though. What happened was I had in my mind, I said, okay, you know, I had this Chase Freedom Unlimited credit card, and it was 0% APR for 15 months. It had $11,000 credit line, and I'm like, okay, this is the only way I'm going to afford this. There's no other way I could afford this. I could just pay it up $8,000 up front, and then pay it off in a year. And I thought that was pretty manageable for me. You know, I'm a personal trainer. I get pretty good business. What the fuck happened was that I did not plan on getting arrested and hiring a lawyer for $6,000.
Yeah.
You know, plus all the other fees associated with that, going to drug treatment and shit like that, paying that out of pocket.
Yeah.
So like all of a sudden, you know, I had to decide like, oh fuck, do I get the pop top or not? You know, but I just felt like I'd really be like upset and unhappy if like I had to pay for the lawyer, but then like not get the pop top.
Yeah.
Like the pop top was essential to like where I wanted to be in life. You know, I mean, like I said, getting your dick sucked, standing up, and being able to cook standing up.
In that order.
Or at the same time.
At the same time.
No, I mean, just joking around. But not joking around, but, you know, like I plan on living in it. I'm moving up to Seattle.
Yeah.
So I want to be able to have that, like, that extra comfort. I already spent 9 months in the van hunched over.
Yeah.
So like the van, I sourced some parts out. They welded a new roof. They cut out the old roof, put a new roof on there. This pop top's from Santa Cruz, got it for like $1,000. And the van was left in Sacramento for 2 months.
Wow.
And I was vanless for 2 months, and that was a hard 2 months because like I essentially like lost my soul. You're
very connected to this.
Exactly. And you know, and be honest with you, now I don't drive it as much, but because I'm trying to save the mileage when I move up to Washington, so I'm trying to preserve it. But like when I'm in my element and I want to use it and I can't, that's why I get like I lose my element, you know, I lose my soul. And then this just turns out, you know what, it's there at the shop, you know, fucking mice get in it. And then I pull out these drawers and there's fucking mice droppings all over this fucking shit.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, dude, are you serious?
Did you have anything in the refrigerator?
They didn't get to the fridge, but there were snacks in there in the other drawer. And I just didn't think like, you know, to take out my snacks, you know? And they go through, I clean it up, but of course they come back because they're in the fucking back of the cabinets. You can't get, so I lay down some mice trap. And it was just so fucking disgusting, man.
Yeah.
Like being able, like, had to like pick it up and then, like, you know, essentially you have to deep clean everything.
Yeah.
And then not to mention, you know, or to mention also, they had been doing the welding, and the fucking guy didn't the weld, like the spots that come up from the welds, you know, it comes down and it burns the fucking, you know, it burns like, you know, the wood, you know. And I'm like, come on guys, like I'm paying $8,000 and like, you know, it's like you guys don't even care. And so, but you know, for me, relationships matter more than materialistic possessions. So I'm like, some guy told me, the guy who built my cabinets, the guy who didn't do the work on the pop top, but I went to him and I said, hey man, look what they did. And then he's like, yeah, like, you know, you could replace the floor if you want. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And then we're talking about it, and then he's like, dude, you know, you realize this is gonna cost like $3,000, like just to replace the floor. I gotta take everything out. And I was like, yeah, I don't care, I want to do it. I want the floor. I want a new floor. And then And then, you know, he gave me a really big life lesson there. And he told me, like, you know, life's not worth about having a fucking clean floor all the time. Your floor in your van is going to get dirty. It is people, you're going to use your van. You're going to take bitches on road trips. You're going to throw parties on, you know, in here.
Bitches on road
you know,
trips.
it's like to stress about a fucking piece of the spot on their floor. That's what you're worried about in life, dude. You're really thinking so narrowly. And I really realized, like, that's when I climbed myself out of the rabbit hole of van life. And, you know, and said, like, oh, I need to add this, I need to add that, I need to add this. Like, I had just fucking got the pop top and I'm worried about a spot on the floor.
Yeah.
You know? So the lesson was, like, just enjoy things with what you have, and you know, you're always, if you wish you had something else, once you get there, then you're gonna wish for the other thing. Or, you know. So it's just be in the moment, you know, be in the moment and make do with what you got. You know, and now it's like with the pop top, it's like, I always thought, like, oh, like, prior to getting it, I thought, oh, my life would be so much better if I had it. But, you know, I mean, yeah, it is being good to be able to get your dick sucked and stand up and cook. But, like, that's
You can do that outside of the van, though.
yeah, you could do that. You could do that at the girl's house too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's like my life has been. Let's just say the pop top has not necessarily added.
What about sleeping up there? That seems like a huge difference.
We haven't talked about that, right? It is being really cool to sleep up there. I don't use it personally because I feel like the more I open it up and back, it's like wear and tear on those nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
So, like, I would only use it if I have to use it. If I am in an area where I want to have complete privacy, and I don't have the time to put these up and I just want to go up for a quick nap, sure. Or I've had it used in the summer. I had 2 girls sleep up there, and then me and Armando were down there.
Armando.
Yeah, we went on a road trip to Seattle in the summer, and he's doing very well. And so, you know, on those occasions, I would use it. Also, just laying up there and, like, you know, opening up the windows, looking at the ocean, you know, that kind of thing would be fun. I used to really love smoking up there, but I don't smoke anymore. You know,
Not cigarettes or cigars.
no.
Because you're talking about weed.
Yeah,
right?
weed.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm scared, man. I'm so scared. I mean, I have a CBD joint there, but I'm scared because I don't want to risk anything.
You mean as far as probation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And I just don't feel like it's worth it, you know? Yeah. And I'm sure you feel, maybe, do you feel similar like that? It's like...
Well, yes, but instead of it being the probation, for me, it's, I think that it's irresponsible for me to do any kind of drugs right now because I think I'm on it's a slippery slope for
Absolutely.
me. And I think I basically have to put myself on probation now.
Right.
To the point where even if no one's telling me to do this or that I still try to do things to make sure I'm showing up as my best self, as best as I can, you know, as much as I can control it at least. So, yeah, I'm basically on permanent probation.
Well, I mean, you know, I think like having that structure to it makes it easier to say no, because like you have a dead ass hard reason why you shouldn't do it, right?
Yeah.
Like
in a way, it's easier for me.
Right. I too, like, I feel now for me, I have a dead ass hard reason not to do it, because if I do it and I fuck up, then it's like I could basically kiss my entire like career and like my future endeavors goodbye.
Yeah.
So, but I was once in a state of mind where I felt like I was a prisoner to these substances.
Really?
Where I felt like I had to say yes. And it was just so hard to say no. And now it's flipped. And this, you know, this is one of the things that I value about, in a way, I'm kind of blessed that I got arrested, because it proved to me that, like, well, it basically was my rock bottom, you know, for me.
Yeah.
You know, And had I not been arrested, maybe I would have gotten into myself some other types of trouble, that were worse. Or maybe I could have got into PT school, and then come time where they wanted to give the drug test sample, I would have already been smoking earlier that week.
So you have to do that. You have to get drug tested for PT school?
You do once you go into a clinical setting. So like the first year is not clinical, and then the second year is clinical.
And it's 2 years?
3.
3 years.
Yeah. So, and I was fucking scared, man. I mean, I had to do these applications with full disclosure of what happened. Some of them you didn't, but then like once you get in, you have to tell them. So I got like, for example, I was about to move to Pomona, California. Do you know that area, Pomona?
No, not really.
It's near LA area.
Okay.
The school accepted me, but then when I told them, hey, like I have this criminal record, they ghosted me. And then they told me that I can't apply, or I can't. They took away their offer. So even when you get in, it's not even 100% guaranteed that they're gonna still let you in.
That's pretty harsh.
Yeah. So you have no idea what's gonna happen. So I applied to 14 schools for this reason, because I was like pretty much shooting from the hip.
Yeah. And how many did you get in?
I got into like, I think it was like 9.
Wow.
Or something like that. I had a lot of interviews too.
9 counting Pomona, or not counting?
9 well, I guess counting Pomona, yeah. Yeah. I was rejected from UCSF, St. Omer in Oakland, Boston
University.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then also Loma Linda University in SoCal. And then I guess I could count Pomona too.
Yeah.
But I was going against the odds. Like the odds were not stacked in my favor. What helped me was my track record of like just being a good student, things like that. For a while, I thought I was about to move to Columbus, Ohio.
For school?
Yeah, Ohio State.
Ohio State.
But then things changed, and then I'm going to end up in Seattle area.
Did Ohio revoke their offer?
No, they did not. So you have to contact. I had to contact with the director of admissions there, and it's really up to them, kind of.
Yeah.
If they feel like, it's going to be okay. So once I have that kind of okay from them, then I'll pay the deposit. The deposit's like $500, $1,000 to hold your seat. So it wouldn't make sense to pay for the deposit and then find out later that
you didn't get in for real.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So
is that still up in the air?
The outcome of the
Ohio State.
Oh no, I rejected them.
Gotcha.
So I had paid my deposit, but then found out I got into another school. And
that kind of sucks then, that you already paid the deposit.
Yeah, and it was $1,000. Oh, sorry, 500, but it's okay. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah.
I mean, people will apply and never get in. It's incredibly difficult. The fact that I got in my first time is a miracle.
Yeah.
Even having a criminal record. I think people get so afraid of having a criminal record. They feel like
they shouldn't apply.
Yeah. It will literally make someone not apply. It will stop. And that's the whole fucked up thing about the whole criminal justice system in America, is that it makes people like it. Once you're branded as a criminal, they will make for sure that for the rest of your life, that's what defines you. Exactly. They want it to define you. Yeah. They don't want you to become anyone else.
Right.
They want you to stay in the system because that's how they make fucking money. It's a business.
Yeah.
Right. So it's up to, our job, people like you and me, to fucking rise through the fucking ranks and go through the fucking grit and say, no, we're going to challenge you and we're going to fucking live our lives how we want to live it, no matter what.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to call these people. We're going to send out these emails. We're going to apply to these programs, you know, and we're still going to fucking do it, you know?
Yeah. I still wonder if I'm ever going to complete my bachelor's.
Absolutely.
Because
you will.
I can. I mean, but it's going to be, like you said, going through the grit. It's going to be a lot more difficult now.
Yeah.
I just think that it's going to be like, it's hard to just live, right? So it's going to be, well, what I mean to say is that even though it's hard to complete school, it might be harder to not complete school.
I see.
It might be a lot harder.
Right.
So it might be, with all the stress and pressure, it still might be the better option.
I think,
and I personally like school.
Right. You're an intellect for sure. I could see you fucking teaching the classes fucking in prison. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that'd be really cool if I got to teach a class. I could teach like basic mathematics, like fractions and decimals and
Absolutely,
stuff.
Dude. I mean, you could probably go as far as like algebra 2, I'm sure.
Algebra 2, yeah. I'm a little rough on some of the calculus. I was thinking of relearning some calculus to put it into the math papers that I've been doing. I have this whole, so the absolute most Chef of X moment or Chef of X product as opposed to Red Chef is the papers that I used to write. But I had this math paper that basically broke down all the chef stuff, and I have a new idea for it, but it involves calculus. So I don't know if I'm actually going to do that anytime soon, but it would be nice to complete a calculus paper that the calculus version of the chef set paper.
So then it'll be complete once it's.
Well, it's always incomplete, but it'll be a different perspective than what I've written about before.
I see.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, I mean, being able to, I think, find something where like it's like while you're in cell in prison, and being able to, you know, it's like use that opportunity as a place to take like whatever the time that you have in there. I'm not getting my words out straight, but you have to find the thing that you're going to fucking work at daily, and you're going to fucking love doing it. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, oh, fuck. Like, there's no other way in the real world where I wouldn't have the time to do this.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is my fucking opportunity.
Make use of the time.
Exactly.
Well, from one perspective, it's free housing and food.
Oh, is it? It's free housing and food?
That's one way of looking at it.
I heard somewhere on some fucking like thing, I don't know if this is true or not. I thought like they don't like charge prisoners housing, right? There's no like bill.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
They might. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to be sure.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. I just heard that. But
yeah, well, hopefully,
hopefully it's not, dude. Sorry, fuck. I just made things a little bit.
Hopefully
added
not.
Extra stress. Hopefully not.
Man, you're stressing me out. No, it's fine.
No, I'm. We'll have to fact check that.
Yeah, that would be very interesting. I doubt it, but it could be the case. Making good use of the time. When I was one of the best music projects that I put out was the first one. And I did that while I was in Block Behind Bars. And it's called Elmwood Recipes. And it was basically 16 songs that were written at that time. And I actually performed some of them live when I was in there. But it was a really good project. It might be the best project since I started, but I think Young David is good because it's like recent.
Yeah.
So I really like it. But yeah, it's on SoundCloud.
On SoundCloud?
Yeah. Anyhow, I've made good use of my time in the past, so I hope that despite all the medications, that I'll still have drive to do creative stuff because it was really fulfilling.
Right. I think you will always have that drive, you know. But I do have a question about the medication.
Yeah.
Because even when you were in your most creative moment, you were on medication.
Yes, but
right?
I'm on different meds.
You're on different
now,
medication.
So,
Is that different medication, like, is the medication that you used to take won't work now?
I don't know about that. I think that's what the psychiatrist believes, that it's not enough now, that we need something extra, because I'm still taking what I was before. There's just additional meds on top of that. So I think the logic is that whatever was going on before wasn't good enough. So now we're going to add more to it. The really tricky thing about that, though, is that I wasn't diagnosed under normal conditions. They didn't add these medications to my regimen, to my whatever, to what I was already taking while I was out. They changed it while I was in. So they're observing me while I'm in a cell by myself. And based off of those observations, that's how they changed the meds. So it's not really seeing what I'm like on a regular day.
Right, because it's so artificial.
It's seeing me under these crazy constraints that they're like, oh, he might be depressed, he's sleeping in. But I'm like, dude, that's might be the most fulfilling thing to do in this environment.
Right.
If you don't count the environment, then it's going to be, you might get a completely different outcome.
Right.
So I'm still playing around with the medication that they put me on while I was locked up. And who's to say whether or not that's good for me while I'm out, or basically what's true in there doesn't translate outside. And so it's a little up in the air as to whether or not this is like the correct regimen for me.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to figure out what type of cocktail blend to take, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what...
And the environment changes, right? So...
Yeah. One thing that was cool before was that it was one medication. That was it. But now we're mixing them, and now it's more of a... Before I was taking straight shots. Now it's a cocktail.
I see.
Yeah.
But do you feel like with what happened, the psychiatrist says, oh, okay, like what you were taking wasn't working, but do you feel like the activities that you participated in specifically maybe but like maybe like more than a moderate amount of drinking or some smoking of marijuana, do you think those things could have put like the thing that tipped you over the edge?
Yeah, I think they did.
Like if you had not taken those things, perhaps like
the medication would have been
okay enough, right?
Yep.
But I knew, but the thing is, like, we drank before many a times.
Exactly. So that's the crazy thing, is that sometimes it's fine. Sometimes it's completely fine. And other times this is the first time it's been a disaster in a very long time.
But I do feel like in that when you're getting there closer, you were drinking more than right?
Yeah. So when I was doing the hip hop thing, I was drinking a lot.
Yeah.
Because every day we were drinking.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like
it wasn't just like a beer on a Saturday or something.
No, it was 3 beers at least every day.
Yeah.
And plus the medication, plus the crazy creative stuff was going on. So it was like...
So it was a perfect storm.
It was a storm.
Yeah.
But it was a storm that I had I threw caution to the wind when I shouldn't have. I didn't really see it as a risk because at the time, there was nothing bad happening.
Right.
It's only that after a very long... Besides me driving drunk to work, as I told you. But other than that, like... I think it has a delayed effect on me. I think that if I take a drink now, I'll deal with it a week from now. Mm-hmm. So because it's delayed, it seems like nothing bad's happening.
It's also probably cumulative too.
Yeah, right? That's true. Probably builds up over time.
And if you don't don't give a chance to your brain and body to recover from that,
right?
Then those, the effects of alcohol or whatever other substances will linger. Yeah. Right. And those levels will not come back down. Right. The hormones change, the brain chemistry changes, Yeah.
Yeah.
That
sounds right.
I mean, but it's so good that, we're talking about it now, you recognize it. And so like,
Well, now I'm going to just try to be completely sober.
Yeah.
People do it, so it's not impossible, but, that's part of the reason why I was at the Kava bar that other night was because it's kind of a place where most people, they smoke cigarettes, but that's it.
Right.
or people who usually people don't go there and then go to bars, but some people do that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
And there was actually a drunk guy in there when I was there, so it's not like a completely sober community, but it is something that a lot of sober people gravitate toward.
It's a great place for people in Alcoholics Anonymous.
It is. You know what though? I don't think I'm going to drink kava, because first of all, it doesn't have a great effect on me anyway.
Right.
But second of all, it's like I got to be able to recover everything we just said. I don't know where it's taking my mind exactly.
Right.
So it might not be.
It's
worth
best
it.
to probably, I mean, just be 100% sober.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's not hard to be sober too. That's like, I think sometimes
it's hard in certain moments.
Right.
But if you have the habit of using drugs when you feel bad, then it's hard.
Right?
Yeah.
I think it's more about just like I'm like people probably fall into this category. Some people do, but it's like they'll get really super into like one substance or whatever or a thing, and then they'll just switch over to like something else. Like for me, it's exercise. Like I'm an exercise junkie. I literally replace weed with swimming and running now. And like the feeling that I get like when I'm like running and I'm listening to like Jimi Hendrix or something, it's the same. I'm like literally imagining myself high smoking a joint.
Yeah.
And like I'm getting that same brain chemistry now. So it's
do you like running in a fasted state?
Only in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah. But only for like 30 minutes or so. But it's just for me, it's all about replacing one addiction for the other. Yeah. And I just hope that other addiction is more healthier. Right now I'm dealing with a Taco Bell addiction, as you could see to the Taco Bell game card to your right.
Oh yeah.
It's literally a Taco Bell game card.
Board game, card game.
Yeah. So for sure, like I'm going to have to try to, replace that with something else, but.
Well, you can put in exercise for a lot of different things, right?
Yeah, but exercise can only take you too far. I remember where I had initially started the drug treatment programs, and it was on Zoom, and every week check in with a group, and it's like you see the same people. It's like 10 or 15 people. We go around talking about our weeks, talking about how shitty our lives are, talking about how stressful our lives are, and it was great. It was like a better AA meeting, because like in AA or whatever MA, you go and you just share what you're going through, and no one ever comments on that. You're not supposed to comment.
Right.
But like what's important for me is discussion. I want people to comment on what I'm going through, and I'll comment on what they're going through, and we give each other advice. So I'd like that discussion part of this drug treatment. And that's why I was like blessed to like have gotten arrested, because it put me in a position where I really needed to deal with my habits. I'm just like, I got arrested for MDMA, but I was dealing with my marijuana addiction. I wasn't addicted to MDMA, but that's what I was charged for. Yeah. So, but I would like go on these meetings, and then I would go on a 6-mile run and like listen to all these people, and
6 miles is quite a run.
Yeah. And then they couldn't fucking believe it. They're like, dude, how are you running? This whole time we're talking about all these, and we're talking about like, methods to like be healthier and like not like to, fucking go back to your like craving, they're talking about breathing and exercise. And then here I am, fucking running the 6 miles and telling people, guys, just go for a run. It's gonna make you feel a lot better.
Well, that doesn't apply to everyone.
Yeah, I know, but like I was like, whatever it is, a walk, whatever, a jog, a hike, just go outside, do something different, breathe some fresh air. Yeah, So it was like motivating for me, because I would put myself in a position to be, like a healthy preacher. Mm-hmm. And then every week I'd do that. So. I really loved it, and I paid for it out of pocket, and I had no problem with that, And I
paid for the class.
Yeah, it was $15 a week, and then $20 for one-on-one. That was what the court ordered. That was what I had to do.
One-on-one.
Yeah. So one of the counselors would call me once a week. We talk for an hour.
Got you.
I like the group more than the counselor.
Me too. I actually had a similar experience. I like the group.
I feel like with the counselor, I felt like I was being a bitch. Like I was like, you really want me like I was like I don't want to be a complainer guy. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's like I'm literally trying to find things to complain about.
To the counselor.
Yeah. You know, instead of just saying I'm happy. You know, sometimes I feel like with those one-on-ones, it's like they're trying to make me upset. You know what I mean? I don't know. But
well, so I'm trying to get a counselor now. And it's a slow process because I have a psychiatrist that I got in this county, Santa Clara County, because I was arrested in Yolo.
Right.
So when I got out, I moved down here and I got a psychiatrist, and I was like, what does it take to get counseling too? Because Sydney's like, you need a counselor. So I'm like, all right, I'll get a counselor. But it's a weird process. Like somebody has to refer you to somebody else, and then they got to pick up the phone on time, and they're going to call you. It's a weird process. So, but in my experience, I didn't even really like the counseling.
Right.
So I don't really even, I don't have group counselor. So the group that I went to was kind of like it was like a skill building group where they tried to teach you certain life skills so that you could deal with whatever you had to deal with in the future. And they said, okay, we'll base it on your strengths. So whatever you're stronger at, whatever you gravitate toward, we'll teach you more of that. So with me, they said, you're like a meditator. So for you, the way to check in with yourself is to meditate, which I don't do, but I still do like jogging and walking even. I do things that put me in a zone, and that's kind of zen, but it's not exactly meditating. So I don't know. Is it cheating? I don't know. But anyhow, I liked doing the group sessions more, like you were saying. And now I don't have a counselor, but I don't feel like I really want the counseling. I feel like other people who care about me are saying it would be helpful.
Yeah.
So I listen to them, but I don't really mind not having a counselor.
Well, it's not for, here's the one thing. It's not for everyone. I'll tell you that. Like, having a psychologist, counselor, whatever, it's a therapist isn't for everyone. I think for some people it works. For others, it doesn't. For others, they need some type of in between where it's like group, and then the counselor there. I feel like that works for me more. I think like what the advantage of the group is like you're able to put yourself in other people's shoes and empathize with them. And it's like a real relatable, like we're in this like together,
right.
But with the counselor, it's more of like some type of student teacher kind of relationship. So you don't feel like it's like a class buddy, I'm sitting next to my buddy in class type of thing.
Yeah.
So the language, is different. Yeah. So
you can relate to the other people in the group. You can't really relate to the counselor.
Right. The counselor's never going to talk about their own life or the within limits. Yeah. Right. But the counselor is not going to say, oh, I had a fucking horrible day. Like,
which they do have horrible days.
They do. Yeah.
But they're never going to admit that it's one way.
Yeah. Or they're not going to admit like, but there are some, there are like some drug counselors though, right? Who've like gone through those.
They've had a drug past before. Yeah.
See, I feel like with some of maybe those people, they could, but even then they have to like act in a professional way. They're not going to necessarily just like talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So, I was considering going back to El Centro. But
what's El Centro?
Oh, that's the El Centro de Libertad is the freedom the People's Freedom Center. This is where the drug treatment was. So this was like one that was like the county approved of it because I went through this thing called PC 1000, which was like if you do a drug treatment and you and then you complete that. Then you'll be put on you won't get charged. You'll get the case dismissed.
Okay.
They kind of hang it over your head.
Yeah.
Deferred non-entry judgment.
Yeah.
Which is like a California thing, you know. But you know what's so stupid? If I was like in San Francisco County, Santa Clara County, or Alameda County, and I got caught, it would just let me go. No misdemeanor.
Oh,
Because
Colin's calling.
Oh yeah, you could take it.
Let me pause this. Hey, 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 ho. Too far, too far, too far. Bars on bars, going hard, sorry if I've gone too far. I don't battle, I just spit battle scars. I was dipping in a stolo up in Frisco, sewing up strings spun cleaner than soap. Trust me, my kitchen's drug free, but it's dope. Back in the day, niggas cooked a certain way. Half these new niggas just look a certain way. Some say you do your best work when you play. Is it work when I force time through space? Say what I say through the meals that I'm making. I'm baking cake, but all these pigs see is bacon. The state took aim just to give peace. I wasn't hating, they were playing with my lease. As a chef, I hit the pan with fresh grease. Only hit up sheep for the fresh fleece. I've been missing sleep. Am I manic? I'm about to iceberg, dick the Titanic. Pop 2, the mood I mismanage. Granted, I'm on graveyard, guess I'm granite. A nigga sent a tweet about seafood. The seaweed people had him removed. These days it all depends on what you speak to. The 7 Seas got too salty to see through. And don't let these fucking sheep misfeed you. Remember number Deuce Deuce on Team 2? They hung him by his dick and let him bleed through. Later on it turned out it was the wrong dude. They say that's just the way it is now. Either get with it or get turned out. I checked the oven, your meal's burnt out. You had the Bantu knots and now you firmed out. But I'd really rather stay in my own lane. Left, right, and the bright splitting left lane. My chef game is like a chess game. I mean no disrespect when I reflect pain. Listen, I cook how I cook. If you a fucking sheep, go read a fucking book. I say this out of love, my neighbor. Do yourself a favor. Cook a new flavor. Push some new paper. Pull your own weight. Bum rush the gatekeeper till the beat breaks. And when you get your own crew and your own place, nothing to it if you do it for its own sake. Bars on bars, going hard, sorry if I've gone too far. Bars on bars, going hard, sorry if I've gone too far.